purchases and buying something and using it 3 or 4 times. Now, I think you should obviously, for profitability reasons, you should try to limit that as much as possible. But there is something to be said for R&D. And in this kind of environment, in this kind of business, research and development looks like buying new pieces of equipment, seeing if it works. If it doesn't work for you, returning it if you can, or just swallowing it and recognizing that it didn't really do what I thought it would do.
Or sell it in a back alley transaction on Craigslist.
Right, yeah. One of those sorts of things. So, we can justify and explain, hey, this inspires me this way, this inspired me that way. But I think the simplest explanation is the thing that we like about minimalism is that it's intentional and that it's directive. And we don't want to be impulsive, because being impulsive means you're out of control. You're letting your emotions and your impulses control you. However, that does not mean you don't buy things out of pleasure or because they bring you joy. It means that you intentionally choose that that's what you're doing, that this is bringing me joy, and I'm okay with that transaction, and that's what I'm buying.
Well, it's so interesting that you would bring this up, because even though we didn't prepare together, and you didn't know where I was going with the show, you didn't see my notes. I mean, you saw them, but you couldn't read them because they were across the room.
Right.
And you didn't see this one at all because it was on a different screen. There's a book that I just got from Dan Sullivan, who's my new coach, and it's called Wanting What You Want.
It's so sad that we need books
to make it okay.
Because we've arrived at this place in our culture that Ayn Rand predicted, that we've come to this place where saying I want is a dirty saying. It's a sinful admission.
Now, let me read to you from the jacket of this book. This is fascinating. Wanting what you want, leave behind a world of justification and scarcity, and enter a world of abundance and creativity where you're always free to want what you want.
Right. Now, I think Ayn Rand, she is not a hedonist. She doesn't say just, whatever makes you feel good is right and good. I subscribe to her philosophy, which is you need to make sure that your desires are rational, meaning they're in line with life-promoting activities. Just because you like cocaine doesn't mean you should do cocaine, because that will end your life.
Oh,
in the long run. So yeah, just FYI.
I've misunderstood.
Yeah. So she wasn't saying just do whatever the heck you want because it feels good. Her philosophy is no, develop goals and ideas and values for things that better and advance and sustain your life.
Well, so let me read just a little bit more, because I think this is a great way to kind of put a cap on this discussion. Maybe we have more to say, but Dan writes, what distinguishes the top 1% of the world's entrepreneurs from the other 99%? The big thing I've noticed from coaching entrepreneurs for over 40 years is a real dividing line between extremely successful entrepreneurs and those who peak after reaching a certain level of success. The dividing line seems to consist of 2 words, needing and wanting. There are the vast majority of entrepreneurs who are successful as they need to be, and then there's an elite group of entrepreneurs who grow and grow and grow with no apparent ceiling. The difference I've noticed from studying these 2 groups extensively is that the second group of entrepreneurs is as successful as they want to be. When you're as successful as you need to be, there's a stopping point you reach when you've satisfied your needs. It's unconscious, of course, so the entrepreneur won't even notice it happening. But when you're as successful as you want to be, you just keep growing and expanding. This is because the moment you reach one level of wanting, there is another level just beyond that. I began to see this distinction make a huge difference between people who get to a certain level and stop, and the other entrepreneurs who keep growing all their lives. It all comes down to the difference between needing and wanting.
Oh, I think that's really good, but I think it goes deeper than that, because most people don't even know that they're allowed to want.
Well, exactly, and that's why I want to circle back, and I'm interested to hear your comment on this now. I want to read this to you again. The first sentence I read was just from the cover of the book. Leave behind a world of justification and scarcity. That's the needing people.
Right.
And enter a world of abundance and creativity where you're always free to want what you want.
Right. Well, so this goes back to the problem with the minimalists and saying, like, I only have 50 things, or, I only have exactly the exactly what I want, because if I have too much, then I'll get affluenza, which I know that people aren't consciously thinking that, but that is kind of their ideology. It's like, well, I don't want to be one of those rich materialist consumers. I want to be a good person that doesn't have a huge carbon footprint and doesn't consume more resources than they need. That's how they're thinking and seeing themselves. It all comes down to this to this concept that we've all implicitly